What's up, y'all? This your boy J. Lou, and welcome to another episode of College Tailgate. And man, I got a show for y'all today, man. I hope everybody been good. I hope everybody enjoyed their Thanksgiving weekend, their holiday. Well, the weekend's still going on, but I hope everybody enjoys y'all Thanksgiving holiday. Y'all didn't eat too much. I hope so. Hope not. No, we got a lot of college sports this weekend. A lot of rivalry games going on. One of my personal favorites. Been disappointed the last couple of years, but Michigan, Ohio State, they're playing here in Michigan, the big house. So we gonna see how that go, man. But yeah, I hope everybody's doing good today, man. Just want to cover a few things before I get started. What I'll be talking about today. We got college basketball on tap. I didn't get a chance to run down a lot of the top teams, whatever, but I'll just cover some of the things that's been happening in college basketball so far. Duke went down the other day. We're gonna have to hit some of that. Kentucky lost. I think last week they lost, whatever. So we're gonna hit some college basketball. But first, we're gonna start out with college football, man. We're gonna talk BCS standings so far. What this weekend is going to do for the BCS standings. I mean, next week you got the conference championship games, so that will really tell the tale. You have the BCS playoff announcements next week, and the bowl games announcements. So this week and next week is really going to decide the college football playoff. What's going to go on? Most prevalently next weekend, the conference championship games. I mean, you got a couple of them. The ACC play there, so we already know who's going to win that one, Clemson. Then you got the SEC going to play theirs. The Big Ten, the Pac-12, and I don't think the Big 12 has a championship game. I might be mistaken, but I'm going to look it up. Like I told y'all before, I go off my head off a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff changes like on the fly. So I try to keep up as much as I can, but sometimes something flies past me, and it'll take me a minute to get it, and once I get it, it's there in the internal memory bank. But yeah, we're going to be talking about that, the BCS standings so far. We're going to hit a couple rivalry games. Like I said, I'm going to get into depth with the Michigan Ohio State game tomorrow. We're going to talk a couple other rivalry games. We got the Iron Bowl, Alabama Auburn. We're going to talk about that and what that can mean for Alabama. We're going to talk about it's been a minute since I have done a show, but Tua Tagoviola hurt himself. So I'm going to talk about if that really hurt his draft status and should he stay another year. I'm gonna hit that, and then we're gonna talk about. I'm gonna give my thoughts. I'm really gonna talk about it this time about the playoff and what they should do with it going forward. I think after this year or probably after next year, what they should do. So I'm going to talk about that. Then I'm going to talk about my Heisman. Talk about who I think should be the Heisman so far. Then we're going to jump into college basketball. So hope y'all ready, man. Hope y'all got y'all drinks together. Hope y'all got y'all food. A little snack here and there, because game day gonna be lit tomorrow. So you gotta save some room. I know everybody done ate yesterday for Thanksgiving. So all right, strap in, man. I'm gonna start off with the BCS, since it was announced earlier this week. We gonna start out with that, man. because I think I think it is important to the college football season, even though I don't like it how they compute everything, but we just gonna roll with it. All right. Well, last week it seemed like for the past couple weeks, LSU and Ohio State been flip flopping. Now, how they compute the system, they do like the who they think the best team is, like who they think got the best complete team. So they feel LSU has the best complete team this week, or whatever. Like just say Ohio State goes out and wins by 1 point against Michigan, and LSU blows their team out. They'll put LSU back on top. And then the next week, Ohio State not lose, but I hope they lose. But if they lose by 2 points, they win by 2 points, the Big Ten championship, and LSU wins by a touchdown or so, they'll look at that and kind of flip flop them. So they've been flip flopping a lot. They've been flip flopping a lot. But you got Ohio State number one, which I don't want to sound biased because I hate everything Ohio State. I hate scarlet and gray, like to a T. But they have been playing some good football. But one thing about their team, they have a weakness, and I'll get into that when I talk about the breakdown the Michigan-Ohio State game. But they have a few weaknesses on their team. Number two is LSU. I don't see too many weaknesses on LSU's team. They can give up points after they've gotten a big lead. Their defense kind of take some series off, and they'll give up a couple points, but their offense is just too good, and their defense makes stops when they need to. They can shut an offense down when they really need to. So the LSU kind of it seems like they're playing with the college football season this year. Like they just know they're good to this point, so they just playing around. But yeah, I really think LSU should be number one still. They were number one last week, so I think they should still be number one right now over Ohio State. Ohio State should be in like, I want to say the 2 to 3 spot. I still like Clemson. The Clemson comes in at number 3. They are the defending national champions. They are undefeated. They haven't really been contested outside of the North Carolina game. And when you're the defending national champions, everybody gonna give you their A game. Everybody. And you're undefeated and whatever, everybody's gonna give you their A game. So I think Clemson's been they've had a lot on their plate this year, living up to a lot of expectations, and they have. To me, they've been dominant. I don't know if y'all heard my first episode. If y'all don't remember my first episode, I was saying Clemson has been dominating the ACC for the past couple years, like Florida State used to do back in the day. And there's nobody that can really compete with them in that conference. Nobody. Like, nobody can really compete with them. Like, they're blowing people out. Every game. Every conference game, they're blowing somebody out. So, I still think they're the team to beat in college football still, because they don't really they have a lot of tread on the tires still left. Why teams in the SEC and Big Ten beating each other upside the head. Clemson's having a nice little run, but they're, like I said, they're a good, talented team. They just don't have no competition. They can't control that. They can't control the competition over in the ACC, which I'll get to when I say how they should do stuff different with the rankings and all that stuff. But yeah, and then coming in fourth, which I highly don't, I really, really do not agree with at all. Even though they're a good team, Georgia. Georgia's there. They're a pretty damn good team. They're over Alabama and they're over Utah. Now, here's the problem with that. The problem is you got what they call Power 5 conference. So you have a Power 5 conference and only 4 slots for the playoff. That's mathematically an issue. That's an issue mathematically that I think they messed up with from jump. Now, even if you did want to do that, like I said, I don't think the Big 12 has a conference championship game. I don't think they do. I know they used to, but they lost a few teams. But if they do, I apologize. I haven't looked it up. I haven't went to the internet or nothing like that. But I'll clean it up next episode. but yeah, you already have a SEC team in here, which is LSU. Now, Georgia and Utah have the same record. Utah is leading the Pac-12 right now. Now, Utah's above Oklahoma, who's leading the Big 12. So, my issue with that is, why isn't Utah in the 4th slot? Because they're a Power 5 school, only lost 1 game. So, my thing is, you should not go by strength of schedule, because nobody can control who they play in conference. That's what I'm saying. And I think they're putting that Notre Dame game up there for Georgia, which is cool. But when they change the system, like I think they should, then Georgia have an argument to be like in a at-large spot or whatever in the playoff. Not in the top 4. That's ridiculous. But anyway, to round out the top 10 in there, you got Alabama at 5, Utah at 6, Oklahoma at 7th, Minnesota, which have been a great Cinderella story this year, but I think they're legit. I think they're going to stay steady in the Big Ten, and a lot of them Big Ten teams better look out. My Wolverines better look out, because they're actual rivals with Minnesota. They play for the Little Brown Jug. And a little story behind that, if you guys don't know, I think in the early, I want to say the early 20s or 30s, like, they were playing over at Minnesota. Michigan went to Minnesota to play. Michigan won. So when Michigan got back to Ann Arbor, they noticed, hey, we left a water jug over here. So they called over to Minnesota, hey, can you guys send us our water jug, or we'll send somebody up there to grab our water jug. Minnesota says, no. Why don't you play us for it next year? So that's how that happened. They play for the jug every year or whatever, and whoever wins get to keep the jug for a year or until they play.